Well, everybody, that is it. Leeds United have beaten Rotherham 3-0. Good result, really, really good result. And listen, I'm happy at what I've seen. It's just dominant at the minute, isn't it? I think Leeds have just got to a stage where teams can't really handle us, and that's the positive with what we're seeing at the minute. I don't really see many teams as competition for us. I think we're proving now that we're really rolling. We're rocking and we're rolling into every single fixture. Twice a week, it doesn't matter. We seem to be keeping the core of most of the team fit as well. You look at the consistency. Remember under Marcelo Bielsa, the problems that Leeds United faced week in, week out with injury and injury and injury. Players breaking down, sort of regular breakdowns of some of our key personnel. What we're seeing right now with Leeds United is the likes of Rutter, Somerville, even Perot, Bamford, Nonso, all staying very, very sort of fit very regularly, and I think that's massively important. I think that's what hurt Bielsa's team a lot, to be quite honest with you, with certain results. Stoke at the Britannia really sticks out when we lost there. But overall, Leeds are keeping that consistency. I know Dan James is out, I understand that, but the competition for places is very, very key as well in keeping that quality and depth, that calibre up to that next level, which Leeds United are doing really, really well at this moment in time. What we saw as well is, and I think we're seeing this more and more as he's getting more and more confident, the ball carrying ability of Jorginho Rutter is just excellent. It's absolutely excellent. And I think it's a real big problem for the team because you're having 2 or 3 players focusing on him in every single game. And what he's so good at doing is being unpredictable. You don't know what he's going to do. The slalom runs are incredible. It can be left, it can be right. The man's balance for a 6'1" centre forward, essentially, is incredible. His coordination is so good. How he's able to wriggle out of situations, how he's allowed to run with the ball because players are trying to step off him, but then they get too tight to him and then he spins them. If this guy was smaller, if he had a lower centre of gravity, he'd literally be a mirror for me of someone like Crysencio or Somerville, because they actually have very, very similar attributes. They've both got insane balance, both good off both feet as well, and both very quick off a short distance. And I think, they sort of have, it's almost synchronized when they're playing football, and that's lovely to see because they're just both having fun, which is amazing. Another player I want to shout out is Willian Yonto. I'd have liked him to have been a little bit more direct today. He wasn't as such, and I thought, against Lee Peltier, even I'm pretty sure he came up against Lee Peltier as well at the New York Stadium, and he wasn't as direct, and that's what I pinpointed in my pre-match as the problem. It was going to be Willian Yonto up against Lee Peltier. But aside from that, Leeds were trying to funnel the ball down that side. But I thought it was really impressive. Archie Gray helping Willie out on that side. That overlap was always on. He was always trying to encroach into the box. And then we saw Connor Roberts come on, putting a little bit of a reducer on I believe it was Revan, and giving away a free kick. But I think someone had just said to him, look, you'll entice yourself to those Leeds United fans if you put a little bit of a reducer in on one of those players earlier on. Connor Roberts left with a little bit of a smile on his face. But what I will say, everybody, is they should have been down, in my opinion, to either 10 or 9 men. That Revan, a horrible tackle on Willian Yonto, which was given as a goal kick, the standard of refereeing in the EFL once again. And that is a Premier League ref as well, I believe. And alongside that, the studs tackle, in my opinion, on Jordan Hugill, on Joe Rodon, as you saw with Rodon writhing round in agony, for me was a red card. And a lot of you guys might think, Conor, you've been dramatic a little bit there, but I don't think I was. I think when you look at the letter of the law, the studs up, a reckless tackle, and I think there's an argument for both being a red card. The first one, listen, it shouldn't have counted. It was a handball. We all know that. Bamford on listen, it's how the cookie crumbles sometimes, isn't it? These things work for you, they don't work for you as well. But I was just really, really impressed with the standard that Leeds are producing. I think the problem, what we're seeing at this moment in time, is Somerville, Rutter, Nonso. Maybe this is where the Championship is so different to the Premier League. We all know that because we've all experienced that within the last sort of 4 to 5 years with Leeds United. But we know how ruthless these teams are in that next bracket. The problem with Leeds is at the minute is, yes, we're scoring 3 against Rotherham, but every time I'm coming on these streams, I'm saying, and these videos, I'm saying the exact same things to you, and I was saying the exact same thing in the watch along today. It should have been 7-8. It really should have been, and it's almost that head loss in front of goal at points, where whether it not be with Bamford not sorting his feet out in the first 4 or 5 minutes, whether it's Jorginho Rutter smashing the ball over when he's done a lot of the hard work. You know, whether or not it's William Alonso going through on goal and drilling the ball a yard wide. In the Premier League, we all know that you get assassins there. We don't want to think too long term, but if we are to get to the promised land, these situations that we struggled with really in the Premier League in general, putting some of these chances away. Arsenal at home sticks out when they had about 2 chances and scored 1, and we had about 40 shots on goal and unfortunately didn't score any. It just highlights the quality difference, and I think we're able to get away with it in this division. But I think long term with this Leeds United side, we do have to maybe take a little bit of a step back as a fan base. And when people are saying, look, these players cook in the Premier League and they do all these wonderful things in the Premier League, we do have to look at the standard of that next division and how teams can do it to you, but you've got to be able to do it to other teams as well. But overall, we're not looking that far ahead, and we have got one team in our way, haven't we, in Southampton, who at the minute are proving a big problem to stop. But we did see chinks in their arsenal today. 3 goals conceded against Huddersfield, and yes, we are clutching at straws there because Southampton came through it and scored 4 or 5 goals, whatever it was. It was 5, wasn't it, in the second half? But I did say on the stream they're going to score 5. Huddersfield are not a good side. The problem with what we're facing at the minute is a lot of these top teams in the division, the standard is the best it's ever been, in my opinion. And I've been watching the Championship for 2 decades. It's the best it's ever been. The best it's ever been when you're looking at the calibre of teams. You are seeing a system-based side in Ipswich who are faltering a little bit at this moment in time, but they are absolutely excellent when you look at the calibre of the division and how they are separate from the majority of the division. You saw them faltering a little bit today, but in general, how they are able to separate themselves in terms of quality is second to none. Systematically, they're very good under Kieran McKenna. You know, a budget which isn't extravagant at this moment in time. It probably would be if they got to the Premier League with their American backers, but at this moment in time, they're really punching above their weight. But you look at the drop-off between them and other teams, but then you look at the 3 who've come down, and the drop-off between Leeds, Southampton, Leicester and the others is staggering. So the problem is when you're relying on a Huddersfield, when Southampton are relying on a Rotherham, you know, when we're relying on maybe a Watford, who probably are a little bit of the upper echelon of the Championship, but when it comes down to it, they're really not. They are in terms of reputation, but in terms of standard on the pitch, as we've seen with Watford this season, they're really not. When you're looking at that, we are relying on 4, maybe 5 teams, if Coventry and Hull are having a good day, to take points off Southampton and to take points off Leicester. So it's really difficult at this moment in time, because even when it was 2-0 to Southampton, to Huddersfield, I was saying to everyone on the watch on, they're going to score 5 in the second half. We all know it. And they did, you know, their January business. Joe Rothwell and Brooks came through for them in the second half. I believe Brooks got 2 assists and Rothwell got 2 goals. And that's what it does. But we are focusing on these other teams. Of course we are, because we're trying to get into that top 2. And for parts, we were sort of, they had 1 game advantage on us rather than 2 when we were 2 points in front, even with when they were losing. So that was great. But listen, we've just got to focus on ourselves, and it's difficult not to, and to focus on other teams. Of course it is, because of Leeds is of the predicament we're in when it comes to catching down Southampton. It is going to be a task. I thought we were going to be Brock Lesnar today and end the Undertaker being Southampton's streak. Or Huddersfield were going to be Brock Lesnar in terms of ending the streak, and yeah, they weren't able to do so. But we do need some Championship favours for Southampton, but they have got some tricky games coming up. West Bromwich Albion, they've got Bristol City away coming up as well. So let's hope at some point we're going to see a little bit of a turn there. But overall, it's business as usual for Leeds United. It's another win. It's 8 wins in 10, and in any other season, everybody would be top of the division by a country mile. The fact that this division is so high when it comes to standard is just typical when it comes to Leeds United. We always find ourselves, it seemed like when we went down from the Premier League, we couldn't believe it, could we? You've got Southampton, Leicester, established Premier League teams, and Leeds. Someone said to me the other day, we're not an established Premier League team. Well, for me, if you've been in the Premier League for anywhere beyond 2 years, you've done well to stay in that division. And it doesn't, we're not talking about degrees of how established you are, but you're an established Premier League outfit at that point. But for 3 teams like that to come down with the calibre of sides and the money spent that we all have done in the period of times we've been in the Premier League to have come down, it is staggering. And you've got to think that the teams that came up that year, none of them got relegated. It was all teams that had been in the Premier League previously. They all got relegated. So you'll never see anything like this ever again. And I just think this standard is just the cream of the crop right now. And you see him with Leeds bringing on Connor Roberts. You see him with Leeds bringing on Yoel Perot. You see him with Southampton bringing on David Brooks and players of that ilk. It's next level. So we are struggling at the minute to rely on these other teams, but Leeds get the 3 points, Leeds get the win, and it's 8 wins in 10. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, everybody. Make sure you join the Patreon. Go over to SofaScore to look at the analytics of today's game. Leeds get the win. Check out the watch-along highlights if you haven't already, and I'll see you in a bit.